With the end of 2024 here, we are going to recap some of our top memories, experiences, parks of this year. It's coming up right now on Rollercoaster Rants.
Welcome into Rollercoaster Rants. Today we're going to talk about our top experiences, top coasters, top parks from the year of 2024. We kind of have a couple different kind of things mapped out. We'll jump right into it here. Yeah. Before we get into it though, just make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and let's get right into it. First, I've got my top 3 memories of 2024, and I'll go in reverse order here. Number 3 is going to be, it actually just happened pretty recently at the Haunt, and it was that last day of Haunt where it was very cold, and it was the Orion rides where our faces were completely freezing off. I even remember I opened my mouth and my teeth hurt because they were so cold and everything, but it was so fun, and that's number 3 for me. Going into number 2 is going to be at Cedar Point during Halloween, and that was when we ate dinner at the pavilion over on the boardwalk, and then we rode Wild Mouse after that. Yeah. And Wild Mouse doesn't pack the biggest punch, but it was such a good vibes, good time. We were having an average day, and then that just completely turned it around. So
yeah, not spoiled. That's on my list too.
Yeah. And then number 1 was when I got the opportunity to go to Friday Night Lights, or Friday Night Live. Sorry, Friday Night Lights is a TV show. Friday Night Live at Holiday World, and they, for the roller coaster day, every year they did the Voyage Trimless. So I didn't go to Hollywood Nights, but I was able to do Voyage Trimless. I only had time to do it once, but that's my number 1. That was just the best experience ever. It was pitch dark. It's my number 1. I loved it. So that would be my number 1 memory.
Favorite so you had 3. Your top 3 were each at a different park.
Yes, they
Kings
were.
Island, Cedar Point, and Holiday World.
Yeah, and then so this is kind of preface it. This is the first year either one of us have really became enthusiasts and trying to get out there and do other parks. So we'll have a lot more to choose from.
Years to come.
I didn't start really going to the parks until August, and I think I did 18 different days at parks after that. So next year we're planning on doing that the entire year and really broadening how many different parks we're going to. We've got some stuff in the works that we won't announce until we have them in stone. Yep. But it's going to be a lot more than 4 parks to choose stuff from.
That's the goal. I mean, this year, honestly, my journey for roller coaster riding and being an enthusiast, really just it entailed being at Kings Island for most of my life, outside of one Cedar Point trip that we took back in college. But this year I had a goal. We got the all park passport with our gold pass for Six Flags now, and so that was a goal. My wife and I wanted to go up to Cedar Point a couple of times, and so we did that, and Ryan joined us on our 3rd trip, but gosh, I think I went to Kings Island 25 times, 30 times this year, and so this was really the first year that I tried to expand my horizons. First time I went to Holiday World, first time I've been to Kentucky Kingdom since middle school, so really tried to get to a multitude of parks. But I'd say my top 3 memories, in fact, all involve one park, and I'd say number 3 for me was the night rides that we had on Stevie, Gemini, and Wild Mouse. So kind of what you said, we went to the boardwalk. I think it was our 2nd night at Cedar Point, and just kind of, I don't know, just had not a crappy day, but a cruddy day with the lines, just kind of the experience.
You weren't feeling well.
I wasn't feeling the best. I was kind of sick, and ate something that just didn't agree with me, and so that night we went to the boardwalk, and then immediately after we ate at the Grand Pavilion, we rode Wild Mouse, and just that fun experience really turned our day around. And then we immediately went to Gemini that night. And
Magnum as well.
Magnum, yeah. I mean, the classic arrows.
Those
and
two rides
they were just hitting. They were so much fun.
They're the cult classics of Cedar Point, and they it's just a different vibe over there. You
Yeah.
got more of the enthusiast vibe, and it's just they're so good. I mean, you actually weren't a huge fan of Magnum going into the trip,
wasn't.
and it completely changed for you.
I wasn't. I went during the summer with my family, and quite frankly, I didn't really care for Magnum, but we just had better experience, I think, and maybe I was in a different mindset.
Great night rides too.
Yeah, great night rides, and so really had a great time on those coasters, and got to duel on Gemini.
Yeah,
that was the first
fun.
time that trip we had able to duel on Gemini, and that was a lot of fun.
I love both those rides, and Wild Mouse.
Yeah.
They're the three most underrated rides at the park right there for sure.
Boom, boom, boom. It was we had a really great time, and then I'll throw in, since it's kind of a night, that specific night is the core of that memory, but just for the mere fact of night rides, I'm going to throw in Stevie, just the experience that we got to have on night 3 of our trip.
That would have been right there.
Yeah.
And looking back, that might be ahead of the Orion freezing. Just 5 straight, or
It's an honorable
three
mention.
straight rides on Stevie at night. The thing was running. It was not. We weren't getting trimmed at all.
It was
was
amazing.
insane.
It was amazing.
So good.
You think that Stevie goes faster in the day?
If we didn't have to wait like 30 minutes in between each ride, that would 100% be like number 1. Well, maybe number 2 next to Voyage Trimless. It'd be right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. So I'm going to categorize all of those together. So I guess that's my number 3. Number 2 is going to be going to Cedar Point with my family back in June, and just kind of the encompassing of the trip. Like I said, my family, we'd always gone to Kings Island my whole life. We're from Southern Kentucky, so we drive up to the 3.5 hours to Kings Island, and that's what we would do once a year. But we'd always talked about going to Cedar Point, and at last we were able to go as a family. My parents had never been, my brother had never been, and just being able to go as a whole, as a group, was so much fun. It had been something we talked about for honestly decades at this point, and so being able to go and have a great time with them was a lot of fun. We did 2 days at the park, but I'd say my number one thing that I got to experience, my favorite memory for 2024.
I know what that's going to be.
What's it going to be?
Top Thrill 2.
Top Thrill 2. I'm very blessed to have gone opening weekend.
Hey, I get that memory next year, so
Yeah.
that's something to look forward to for
Yeah,
me.
I mean, and honestly, that's the whole sucky thing about Top Thrill 2 is that so many people didn't get the opportunity to ride it this year, and I can't wait for people to experience it. Hopefully, it's pretty close to the same, barring any changes that they make to the ride. But I loved it. It was just one of my favorite coasters. It's not my number one, but it's up there. And so that's got to be my favorite memory, because I loved Top Thrill Dragster whenever we went back in college, and now I'm so excited to ride Top Thrill 2, and it lived up to the hype and exceeded it for me. So those are my 3.
Okay, we'll go move along here, and then we'll move to top 3 coasters of 2024 in review. Again, this is from 4 different parks. This is our total parks that either of us went to this year. Again, we started in August. Kings Island, Holiday World, Kentucky Kingdom, and Cedar Point. I probably could put multiple of at least one of the parks on the list. I kept it to 1 per park just to kind of keep it a little variety
Okay.
on the list. My number 3 is probably the surprise of the list. It's actually going to be Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. It is great. I mean, like every other RMC that I've been on, which is one other one, but like the other RMC I've been on, when you first get on it, you're like, yeah, that was pretty good. That was all right, But on that last kind of like to the station, when you do that inversion, you're going so slow that it actually you get airtime on your seat. But by the end of the night, you're going so fast that you don't even move, and that's just an indication of how much faster it runs at night. So I'm definitely taking in the end of the day rides where it was just flying around the track. It was so out of control. Everything I heard from it being good
Lived up to the hype.
It lived up to it for sure, and even more. I think I liked it more than the general public. So that would be my number 3 coaster. Again, if we were doing 2 from the same park, probably Maverick gets on there. I would say I probably like Maverick a little more than Storm Chaser, but I wanted to keep it 1 per park. So
Okay.
Number 2 for me, Steel Vengeance. It's just an incredible ride. It's probably my number 1 overall. Just on any given day. I love Steel Vengeance. Again, we got really, the first time I rode it ever was this year, and we got trimmed like crazy going over the midway course, and it was really good. During the day, I was like, I love this ride, but then at night, it was just another beast,
Another tier.
and it was incredible. One of the best coaster experiences ever had in my life. Number 1, of course, I love my wood coasters. I love Holiday World. The Voyage. It's just the most complete ride ever made to me. Trimless Voyage was an experience I've never had before, and I'm really looking forward to you having that experience. And it's just incredible. Like, it is otherworldly. I don't want to overhype it, but I do think you'll love it so much. And that's my number 1 for sure. It was front row. Again, I only got to do it once. The sense of speed was just unlike anything I've ever done. It felt like we were on a Giga going through the forest and pitch dark. It was awesome. And that is my number 1 and my top 3.
Who knows? Maybe this time next year we do the year in review for 2025. Could be on mine because we are going to go to, thankfully, going to be able to go to Hollywood Nights next May. So
we'll go to Hollywood.
Yeah, for sure.
Go and
But specifically speaking to the trimless component of it,
yes.
and those night rides. My top 3, my number 3 is actually going to be the same as yours, and it's going to be Storm Chaser. Whenever you hear Kentucky Kingdom, I was, I don't know, I just wasn't expecting as much, but you put a little bit more behind the RMC name.
We had the discussion, and
and
I'm like, I think Storm Chaser might be better than anything at Kings Island.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, and you're like, oh no.
I mean, I didn't believe it. I truthfully didn't. I'm skeptical.
And we'll see where your rankings go, but there's something to what I said there.
I loved it. It was such a good ride. I think. I mean,
it needs to warm up.
It needs to warm up, but and it honestly didn't really have as much opportunity the night that we did. 1, for it was a short night, and 2, it was only 1 train op. So, but still, it was a great ride. RMC, fantastic, and it really loved it. So number 3 on my list. Number 2 for me is Top Thrill 2. I mean, self-explanatory. It was just the sense of speed, the sense of weightlessness, going back up the spike, and then just the ejector airtime getting thrown over that top hat just made for a complete ride that truly felt like a complete ride versus the 17-18 seconds that Dragster was. So it took what was great about Dragster and just amplified it. You're not going to have the punch of the acceleration that the original Dragster had, but still, I would trade the completeness of the ride.
That's what I've heard from most everyone that's talked about.
I loved it, and it's very fitting for number 2. But for me, number 1 is my number 1 coaster, and that's Steel Vengeance, and that's simply for the fact that I was able to go to a park this year, ride a coaster, and it be unequivocally my favorite coaster that I've ever rode. And those night rides just solidified it for me. Steel Vengeance, number 1 coaster for me in 2024. I loved it. Ejector airtime, the length of the ride, it was just a blast. We had such a great time riding it. It's number 1.
Yeah. No, I can't blame you. I love Steel Vengeance. Okay, and then finally we're going to be jumping into our top 3 parks of 2024. My list is going to definitely surprise some people just because there's definitely bias there, and our experiences are going to be different than everyone else's experience. So, I mean, I'm sure list will be different than mine, and I'm sure my list is different than yours. Now coming in at number 3 is actually going to be Cedar Point. Again, rides, best in the world by a million. But a lot of stuff was closed down when we were there. There was a lot of time that we were pissed, and these other 2 parks I felt it once at another park, and then the other one I've never felt it at. So again, rides alone, Cedar Point second to none. It's by far the best. It's amazing. I love Cedar Point, and it would probably be, you know, number 3 or 2 if we went to 20 different parks. We just went to 3 incredible parks of the 4 we went to. So number 3 for me. Number 2 is going to be, just there the other day, it's going to be Kings Island. Not as good of rides, but still incredible rides. Probably, you know, one of the best lineups in the world. And they add the operations and the maintenance and the good vibes on top of that. I love Kings Island. You know, we had one kind of iffy day there. It was just so overcrowded, and some of the staffing wasn't great. But that's bound to happen. You know, in a park that's getting that much traffic, for sure.
I mean, one of the busiest days of the year.
Probably the busiest day of the year, to be honest. It is insane. And we went on one of the Cedar Point days was like that as well. To be fair, but those are my top 2. At number 1, no bias here, but just Holiday World for sure. Holiday World. I mean, you just get the elite rides with just the small park feeling, and it's just everyone. You're just in such good vibes there, just all the time. Again, it's really that small park feel, but you're also getting these elite experiences that you get at other places. And then the trimless voyage, the times I gotta go with my parents, I gotta go with my sister. It's just something that means a little like more to me, because I was getting people that really don't go to theme parks and stuff, and just enjoy this time. I went to more of their little special events. I went to the Friday Night Live a couple times. I mean, I love Holiday World. So that for 2024, from my experiences, again, I went there more, so it's a little unfair advantage. But I would say Holiday World would be number 1, Kings Island number 2, and Cedar Point number 3.
I think that's fair. I mean, and that kind of goes for me, and the quantity of experiences can help, or you know, it could even worsen a ranking. But in that case, I think it really helped. For me, number 3 is going to be Holiday World, and I agree with everything that you just said. I liked the feel. I liked the eliteness that the voyage provided, as well as the supporting coasters as well. And I think a lot of our disparity in coaster riding is the mere fact you really like wooden coasters, and I'm more of a steel coaster rider. And I'd say one with the wooden coaster.
And you went to Holiday World one
time.
So
and that's what I'm saying. I think the sample size hurts Holiday World more so for me. We're gonna go plenty more times next year, so that definitely could change,
including Hollywood
Nights. And I think that event in and of itself could probably bump it up, because it's supposed to be an elite event.
Well, in theory, Cedar Point should be bumped way up too, because we're gonna get Top Thrill 2 and Siren's Curse.
Well, true.
That's gonna be incredible.
Well, and for me, number 2 reveals number 1. Number 2 for me is Kings Island. I went, and I will still sit here and say that if you're going to go, and if I'm going to go, I'm going to have an overall better experience at Kings Island. I think it'll be my number 1 park for that. However, my number 1 park for 2024 has to be Cedar Point. And I think it kind of goes with what you just said. The experiences, although we had some bad ones at Cedar Point this year, for me, the fact that I was
of the highs are higher than
yes.
My
family, I was able to bring my family. It was my return to Cedar Point for the first time in more than 10 years. I got to experience Top Thrill 2. I got a brand new number 1 coaster, and X, Y, and Z, you keep naming it. That for me is why it is my number 1 park for 2024, solely for those experiences. I had great experiences for Kings Island this year. I had great experience the one day for Holiday World, but the quantity in this case helped Cedar Point, where I had 2 additional trips compared to your lone Halloween weekend trip that we did. And if it was going off of Halloween weekends alone, probably wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be number one in my book. But opening day, being able to ride Top Thrill 2 was so much fun. Going in June with my parents, a blast. And then capping off the year with Halloween weekends. Just made it for just an awesome year, being able to visit Cedar Point for the first time in more than 10 years. I look forward to going back. We're going to go back plenty.
We're going to go to all these parks again. And
Yeah.
then we already are planning on adding at least 3 other parks.
Yep.
But again, it could be more than that, just depending
Hopefully
on,
so.
Depending
Hopefully
on our
so.
schedules. And then, I mean, really, that's it. Because we have the pass for all the Six Flags parks. We've already planned to. We already have one non-Six Flags park on plan.
Yep.
And then, again, we want to go to as many as possible. This is what we love doing. So,
Yeah.
we'll try to make it happen.
It's hard to believe 2024 went by as quick as it did, but
Yeah.
really it was just a half year for you.
Yep.
Starting in August and more of a full year for myself. But 2025 is going to be a great year for hopefully new experiences, new rides, new coasters. Be sure to let us know what you all loved about 2024. Your maybe top 3 parts.
Let's see some of your rankings.
Yeah, give
for
us
sure.
some comments. We love to hear it. So be sure to continue riding with us in 2025, following along and following our TikTok. Subscribe here on YouTube, and yeah, ready to ride some more coasters in 25.
For sure, to 2025. All right, see ya.
See y'all next year.